Right, it's 4 o'clock, so we're going to make a start. I'm going to start that.
Welcome to the Preparing for Adulthood strategy launch. My name is Sam and this is Sarah. We are your hosts. Could I please ask Councillor Ruth Buttery, Cabinet Member for Children, to begin?
Thank you very much for that introduction. And yes, this is the Preparing for Adulthood meeting. We're doing it virtually this time. I remember the meeting about 18 months ago where we all met in the family centre together, and there was lots of discussion, and we made that amazing banner and presentation as all our thoughts came together. So this time it is slightly different as it's virtual, but I don't think it's any less exciting than the fact that we're drawing so many people together who all have the same goal, in the fact that we want every child to fulfil their potential and for families to be supported within Dudley. So I'm really pleased to be opening this virtual event today, and look forward to hearing all the different speakers through the day and honest questions from family and young people too. Thank you very much.
So here's today's agenda. We're going to be doing some life experiences, aren't we, Sam?
Yeah.
And then we're going to have an overview of the strategy. We're going to have some guest speakers, Santok, Neil and Jessica from the Parents Carers Forum are all going to be talking. And then at the end, we're going to have a question and answer session where people will be able to ask questions. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. Shelley and the comms are looking at that, and we'll be putting them all together so we can make sure that we can get as many as we can answered at the end of the session. Okay. We'll be finishing off with Councillor Barlow. Sorry, Councillor Barlow's going to close it.
Introduction to meetings via MS Teams. Please use the chat to ask questions during the session. These will be picked up, or please raise a hand if you would like to verbally ask a question during the question and answer session. Please mute your microphones.
And just to let you know, in case you hadn't realised, we're actually recording this session today. So we're going to have a little bit of a chat now, aren't we, about your experience of preparation for adulthood and going from school to college to the part of the journey that you're at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about your teenage school?
I went to Sutton School Specialist College. It was very supportive, very helpful, and they were always right there if you got a question or an answer to ask.
Can you remember, because you're the older side of the transition now, aren't you? Yeah. You're just coming up to 25. So can you remember when you first started looking at what you wanted to do when you left school?
When I left school, it was quite hard. My mum and dad were fighting for my corner every step of the way. And we had to have meetings after meetings with the connections to find me something. And we had to speak to the school and everything else.
Okay. So you went to Dudley College?
Yeah.
What did you do at Dudley College?
I did level 1 business admin and level 1 sports.
Did you enjoy it there?
Yes.
Was it a good experience?
Yes.
And what do you think that the college gave you as a person?
Gave me experiences to go out and do like coaching and like do lots of like helping people out and stuff.
And what was it like was it going to college, coming back from college, meeting new people?
Scary, but then when my mates were there, it was a lot easier and I felt much comfortable.
So you made lots of friends?
Yeah.
Cool. So you left college and you had to leave college, didn't you? Why did you have to leave college?
Because there was no more level 1 courses.
Okay. And what was your plans when you left college?
My plans were go on to like a training thing.
So were you looking for employment? You were looking for a job?
Yes.
Okay. So you started as a training provider?
Yeah.
Yep. And you've been with them 5 years?
Yeah.
So you're just coming to the end of that part now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because your HCP is just finishing or has finished. Yeah. So what do you think you've learned at the training provider?
At the beginning, I was like getting all my exams done, all my maths and English, and passing them, and then looking for like potential jobs or like work placement.
Okay. So what are your plans? Because you haven't found a job yet, had you?
No.
Okay, so you've had a bit of good news this week, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to be doing when you leave your provider?
When I leave my training provider, I'm going to be doing a level 1 customer care training with Sarah at Dudley Voices.
An apprenticeship?
And an apprenticeship.
So we've managed to find a provider, haven't we, that's going to support a level 1, what we're calling an apprenticeship, because you're going to, what's the difference between the traineeship that we were going to do and what are you going to get that trainees don't get?
A qualification.
And?
A job.
And?
Money.
You're getting paid, aren't you? You're going to be paid to do the hours that you work.
Yeah.
But we're doing it all at work, aren't we? So it'll be a better environment for you.
Yeah.
And this was pretty much all your idea, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you're building your future still.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say to people that are planning to help young people through preparation for adulthood? What's really, really important?
Obviously, like listening and, just support them every step of the way and try and do the best as you can, obviously, gather information instead of just going off and not really gathering nothing.
So I think some of those key points have been put into the strategy, haven't they, from the focus groups that we all did with the transition group.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will all start to show and things will start to work.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Sure.
Right.
Helen.
Would Helen like to do the next slide, please?
That's it. Trying to take my mute off.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Sam, for sharing your experiences and congratulations. Well deserved. Well deserved. Okay, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Helen Ellis and I'm the Service Director for SEND Education and Family Solutions. I'm going to give quite a simple overview of the strategy. So, today's quite a milestone for us launching this strategy. So it is quite an exciting time. So in terms of the strategy, we have got a powerful vision. And I want to pull out 3 key words within the vision, and that is inclusive, aspirations, and our children and young people fulfilling their full potential. So those are the key words really that I really want to pull out from the vision, and really for us all to really work hard to ensure that that's what Dudley Borough aspires to achieve. So if I could have the next slide, please. So in terms of our key principles, and without kind of reading the slide verbatim, but again, just picking some of the highlights. In terms of our key principles, it is about seamless and it is about transition pathways. So ensuring that we've got seamless transitions all the way through our child's life journey. We talk about creating opportunities, and this strategy is about making it happen. We want to create opportunities for our children and young people to access further education, employment and apprenticeships. So again, this strategy, the work for all of us is about aspiring to make sure that we achieve that. Another key principle about independent living, full inclusion, active participation, and another principle is about supporting to build relationships and friendships, and then for our children and young people to maintain health and well-being with reasonable adjustments. Okay, next slide please. Okay, Councillor Buttery mentioned the workshop in her introduction, and I remember that workshop. It was vibrant. A number of you that are here today were part of that workshop. We co-produced this strategy. We had stakeholders, our parents, our carers were there, our children and young people were there. We had health, social care and education reps and providers, all part of that workshop, and we created this strategy. And I think we've labelled that workshop as the North Star event. It was facilitated by NDTI, the regional team. So we had some outside support, which is great because they were able to bring in external experiences to help us as well. But it was a very, as I said, a very vibrant event, and it enabled us to really pull all of the work in relation to this strategy together. Okay. And just as a reminder, okay, do you want to, just as a reminder, this is a visual diagram of what we created together. And from this visual, during that workshop, we were able to pull the strategy together. So this does reflect the borough, this does reflect Dudley. It's important that this strategy does reflect the needs of Dudley children and young people. And as I said, this visual articulates all that creation during that day. So if you haven't seen it, I'd strongly suggest you do spend some time just reflecting and having a look at this visual, because it really does really describe what we want to achieve. And I think we've got that North Star in the corner there. So I am very, very optimistic and very clear that we will achieve our aspirations for this borough. Okay. And in terms of priorities, again, this is just some points of our priorities. And again, I hope that you'd all agree with me that I think we've lost the slide deck, Shelley, sorry. The joys of doing this virtually. I think the slide deck's got, oh, here it is, thank you. Our priorities are to promote and maximise independence, good health and well-being, to support all of our young people, adults we send to enjoy quality, meaningful lives, and to offer appropriate care and support to their families and carers. We aim to offer and develop opportunities for young people, adults to access ongoing training opportunities, 0 to 25, and access supported employment. and for individuals with learning disabilities to lead ordinary lives that is fully participative within their local communities, including being supported to speak up and for their voices to be heard in line with the co-produced North Star. Okay, and we will keep working hard to ensure that we achieve those priorities. Okay, thank you.
Santok, could you now read out the next slide, please?
Yes, thank you for that, Sam, and thank you, Helen. I think you've clearly expressed the ambition that we have locally and what we've all signed up to, and all the hard work that's been taken over the last 2 years to get to this stage. I think has been tremendous. A big thank you to everybody. I just want to land a few key points around the main strand linked to education, employment, vocational. And I think it's important just to highlight that the PFA, the Preparation for Adulthood group that we had, one of the main tasks they had was to try to really understand the landscape for our young people in terms of barriers, in terms of issues, in terms of what's holding them back and what's not supporting them effectively. And I think we've done that really, really well in the group, and we'll use that work to continue to build on this and trying to implement the strategy. I think that's really critical. The other key point I want to land is actually trying to understand the challenges for our young people we send with regards to our pre and post 16 education providers. What is it that we need to do more of to actually get young people ready for vocational employment pathways? And again, I think the work that the group has actually delivered has got a really thorough understanding of that, and now we can build on that in terms of our plan of action in implementing the strategy and trying to achieve those better outcomes that we all desire for our young people. I think over the last 2 years since we've been trying to pull this strategy together and in line with the ops and the provision group, what's become very clear is the collaboration that's actually built up over that time is now becoming really embedded in our psyche, in our thinking, in our understanding of how we want to work. And one of the desires, I think the key message is here, the Gatsby benchmarks, the 8 benchmarks for improving service provision or career pathways provision is something that we are really, really signed up to and want to deliver collectively. So that's a really big shift for us in terms of moving things forward in the right direction. And I think the aim here, this strategy clearly has a very high ambition, very strong aim of ensuring that all our individual young people have access to a very clear pathway, a preparation for pathway in those 4 areas that Helen alluded to, which is your education, your health, your social inclusion, your independence. There has to be clear pathways that every individual has access to. Without that, we're not going to be delivering those outcomes that we've all signed up to. And I think the other key message is there's a very strong desire and ambition in the strategy to focus on our more complex area, our individuals with more complex needs. We still need to have those strong ambitions and desires across the spectrum, from low level of presenting needs to the more complex. And I think that's really, really important that we get the access and the provision right for those individuals with very complex needs. Kelly, do you want to move on to the next slide, please? Okay. The 2 messages here for us is that we have undertaken some pilot projects with our partners and key stakeholders to try to understand, have a better understanding of those sample of learners that are more complex, maybe moderate to severe in presentation, and trying to understand actually how we can fine tune and make their journey, their kind of PFA journey, the preparing for adult journey, much more effective and a much more ambitious. So and we'll take the learning from that and build that into our plan of action going forward and all the work that we're doing across the board. I think it's really, really important. And on top of that, it's extremely essential. The ambition here and the strategy is very clear here. We've got to support people into employment. We've also got to support them to maintain, sustain that employment. And we need to understand exactly what that needs, what that should look like. And in order to do that, we have got a vocational pathways task and finish group, which is looking at developing much more robust employment support services that will help individuals and also our employers to get a better understanding of our young people coming through and how best we can support them. Do you want to flip over? Thank you. And I think it's really critical here that I've certainly seen the changes over the last 2 years with regards to our parent care forum, and I think we've now got a newly developed partnership, and actually it's critical that their experiences, their lived experiences, their voice is actually incorporated into our plan of action, into the streams of work that we will be taking forward as part of embedding the strategy, and absolutely welcome that. And I think that's already seen a key shift in terms of how we've delivered this strategy, so that's great. And what we've also got is the Young People's Health Forum actually helping us to review the PFA section within the local offer to make sure that's actually easy to access, easy to understand, reflective of their experiences, and actually reflective of their knowledge and awareness as well, that will help us improve that offer. I think this is a really fantastic starting point for us. It's a kind of a line in the sand. We have a really good, ambitious strategy. Now the hard work begins in terms of implementing it and taking that plan of action forward to deliver some fantastic outcomes collectively for our young people. Thank you, Shelley. Sam, Sarah, can I hand back to yourself?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Santok.
Can I now hand over to Neil to do the next slide, please?
Thank you. My name is Neil Buckton. I'm the Dudley Managing Director for the Black Country and West Birmingham Clinical Commissioning Group. I think for us, supporting people as they approach adulthood is very much an issue about starting to give them greater choice and control over exactly how their health needs are going to be met. And that involves the sort of co-production that Helen mentioned earlier, but also using mechanisms like developing clear care management plans that they're involved in, facilitating the use of personal health budgets, a number of areas where people are given greater choice and control about how they're going to have their health and care needs met. And I think that's very much a fundamental theme for us in terms of supporting people as they move towards adulthood. Can I have the next slide, please, Sharon? So in many respects, if you're going to give people greater choice and control over how they deal with their healthcare needs, then they need appropriate information to support them to do that, and clarity about exactly how the system works. And in addition, that means we need better integration between the pathways that we have, particularly in terms of recognizing the fact that people have both physical health needs, emotional health needs, and social care needs as well. And so for us, a key priority will be developing better integrated care pathways, recognizing that we need to address the physical health needs of people with disabilities, the physical health needs of people with mental health problems, and address those issues in a holistic way. And also recognizing that there are interventions that we need to work on that are of a non-medical nature. So access to social prescribing is a key element of the support we want to make available as well. Next slide, please, Shelley. And as part of this overall process, we need to make sure that there are proper transition arrangements so that services operate in a seamless fashion. And again, that's very much about having a holistic approach to addressing individual needs. So again, recognizing that we need to be approaching this not just from a purely a physical health or an emotional health perspective, but from a holistic perspective that addresses the entirety of need. And the development of Dudley Integrated Health and Care Trust is at the forefront of that, bringing services together in a different way, but recognising the need to integrate care pathways as a means of addressing the sort of needs that I've described. Thank you.
Right, so we've had a few key messages, haven't we?
Yeah.
So while we've been working with parents and carers and young people from across the borough for the past couple of years, and these are some of the key messages that we've gathered. So the concept surrounding Dudley Disability Service is to do with and not do for when working with people who may require services now and in the future.
Young people, parents and carers and providers from across the borough have all had the opportunity to work together to plan and develop the best possible strategy for young people as they grow and move from child to adult services. We have held focus groups with both young people and their families to better understand what needed and why. We have looked at the past journeys throughout transition to learn and reflect to make changes.
We've worked with parents, carers and young people to develop the local offer and share and show opportunities that are available to young people and their families across the borough. The strategy is going to be continually reviewed. We'll continue to ask, reflect and change as it needs to happen, and this will be done with young people, their families and providers to get the best outcomes for all. Can I now ask Jessica to do the next slide, please?
Hi, thanks, Sarah. I just want to say my name's Jessica Tinsley and I'm part of the Parent Carer Forum, and following on from the visioning event, the North Star event that we all attended last year, we're delighted that we've been asked to represent the views of Dudley Parent Carer Forum members in preparing their young people for adulthood. And we very much continue to look forward to continue to work alongside all the partnerships within preparing for adulthood. Particularly shout out to Tony and Mark who have brilliantly brought us up to speed and involved us with all the work that has been done and is still ongoing. And obviously moving forward, we're really excited about seeing all the outcomes for our young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. Right, now we're going to start with questions and answers, if that's okay. So our first question is, what a Dudley local authority doing to develop more supported apprenticeships for our children?
I think that's over to me.
At these marks, yes, I was just.
Okay, good afternoon, and thank you, Sarah and Samantha, for moderating and the great work that you're doing with this session today. In relation to the question, currently what we're doing to really develop supported apprenticeships, and not only apprenticeships, but also internships and traineeships. Internally, we're working with our human resources and organisational development team to look at how we can work across our directorates. One, to kind of bring understanding as to the types of roles that they could offer, opportunities that they could offer young people. Also, making them aware of the types of supports that would be available to them as well as the young person, and then how that support can be accessed. So that's what we look at internally doing, and we started to develop the work around that. In addition to that, with the vocational pathways and employment support task and finish group, we're looking at how we broaden the net and work with employers and partners so we can also increase the numbers of opportunities across all services, but also across our businesses in and around the area. So there are some green shoots, there are some really good opportunities that we can see and that will be developed as we move forward. One of those being with one of our second biggest employer in the borough, which would be the Dudley NHS Trust. And they're looking at developing opportunities, supported opportunities, and we're working alongside them to make sure that happens. Okay, over to you.
Thank you, Mark. Sam, do you want to do the next question? So the next question's for Santok.
Santok, as a local authority, do you know how many children may need support as adults but don't access services in childhood?
Thanks for that, Sam. An interesting question, which threw a quandary for me, if I'm absolutely honest. The systems at the moment that we have in the local authority, and certainly in Dudley Disability Service, we're not sighted on those children that are not receiving current support from Children's Services or DDS that may then go on to need support in the world of adult social care. And I think that's something that I will be taking away and working with my commissioning colleagues in terms of how we can develop an understanding of that. I know we've got a children's disability register and again, that's voluntary. People, it's not a mandatory thing, it's voluntary. And again, so if people do put or add their details to the register, we could probably track it from that and make some sense of it. But in line with the question at the moment, in all fairness, Sam, we don't capture the data in that way, but that's something I will certainly be picking up with my commissioning colleagues and IT colleagues in terms of whether we can do that realistically with the current resources that we have and what that would look like. I'm more than happy to feed that back as and when we've done the work back to the parent care reform, so that could be relayed out at some point in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hunter.
Shelley's just put in the chat, if anybody wants to ask any other questions, please post them in the chat and we'll try and get them answered for you.
So Neil, given the recent changes to the health infrastructure, e.g. changes to the CCG and DIHC, do you see any impact on locally on plans for PFA?
Yes, very, very much so. In terms of what I hope would be a positive impact, addressing some of the issues that I described earlier. So, Dudley Integrated Health and Care NHS Trust, which is DIHC as it's known, is bringing together a range of services for children, young people in one place for the first time. So both physical health services, mental health services, learning disability services, and also access to services like social prescribing, the kind of non-medical interventions that I mentioned. So firstly, that should deliver better integrated pathways. The organisation will also be looking to use mechanisms like personal health budgets, effective care management plans to support young people. And it should be looking to enable people to have that sort of greater choice and control over how they approach adulthood, how they manage their health needs in the future. So from our perspective, it's a very positive development, and it should be achieving a number of outcomes that are very much in line with the strategy.
So last one's for Helen. The last one here, and then we'll go into the chat box. So as you have flexibility of the curriculum, should life skills be a key lesson each week alongside PHSE from year 9 onwards to develop the basic skills for life independence?
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sarah. This is quite a difficult question for me to answer this afternoon. So what I'm going to do, because as you can appreciate, schools will deliver life skills in different forms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this question out to our schools, get the answers back from our schools, and then post the answers out to this group, if that's okay.
Thank you, Helen.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay, Jess? Sorry. Okay. I'm getting no response. I'm presuming that's a yes. Okay. Shelley's got a hand up.
Yes, we've got a question from Joe. And so I'll read the question out, and then hopefully somebody on the panel can help to respond to this. It's Joe's asked, will the pathway include all of what is on offer and not just that which is preferred by the local authority /CCG, which may be of less cost, or which is within the borough only? To make sure that parents get the best fit for our children without having to do substantial research that is out there, which is what is happening now. Helen or Santok?
Santok, do you want to pick this one up?
I was just going to say, if we're talking about the local offer, then absolutely the ambition is to get the local offer as real life, as active as possible, incorporating developments as they occur within it. And therefore, actually, the aim is to reduce the level of research that a parent has to undertake in order to find the right service or the direction that they need to go into. And I think the time spent doing that could be spent better by parents, and therefore it's critical that all of us get that local offer as up to date, as relevant as possible, and comprehensive in the manner that I think you're referring to, Joe, that it does cover all what is on offer, either from health, social care, universal services, voluntary charities. It needs to be in one place to reduce that stress parents go through when they're trying to find the right fit for their children. So totally on board with what you're asking, and I think that is clearly the ambition we have with the local offer.
Can I just interject there a little bit and just say, when we've been talking to parents, that question has come up over and over again about how we find information, how we find it quickly, because when parents are looking for information, it's generally because they need something quite urgently and they don't want to be researching the whole of the internet or have the time to do it. Yeah. So that's brilliant that that's been addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I just add on that one, Sarah, as well, on to what Santok's just said, is that the local offer will be sitting on the same platform as Dudley Community Directory. So all that information will be all in the one place.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Helen. Has anybody else got any more questions? No? Okay.
Closing remarks and your feedback. Councillor Nicholas Barlow, Cabinet Member for Health and Adult Social Care.
Sorry, it's Shelley here. Sorry, Councillor Barlow. We've just got a slide here about how people here can access the strategy. If that's okay, Councillor Barlow, if I can go through that.
Absolutely, that's fine, Shelley.
Okay, brilliant. So this is a screenshot of the landing page for the Preparing for Adult pathway on our local offer currently. You can see there that's the pathway to this landing page, which is sorry, the above is the pathway to the local offer in its entirety, and this is the link, a live link, that when you click on it, it will take you to this screen, these buttons here, and as you can see, the strategy is here in this section here. So please do go in and have a look at it, and let us know any thoughts or feedback that you've got on that. But it does provide a wealth of other information in relation to preparing for adulthood. I think that's all I needed to say about that. So I'll hand that back over to you now, Councillor Barlow.
Thanks very much, Shelley. And there we are. Right. It's been a very informative 40 minutes, so well done. I'd like to thank Sarah and Sam for their input this afternoon. Been very good, well coordinated. So looking at reflections, but also we will be sending a feedback survey to you this afternoon, and we would really like your views on how you felt that today's event went, and also and probably more importantly, how we can actually improve our strategy. And lastly, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for attending this session. I hope you found it very informative, but please do get in touch with your comments. It really helps us shape things and help you move forward. So thank you very much.